Today on Dr. Phil, missing since October.
I want to know why baby Lisa hasn't been found.
The parents under suspicion.
You thought they did it.
Yes.
Now, the exclusive interview.
Her parents have not spoken out in 3 months.
To answer all the accusations.
You think they jumped to conclusions about you.
There's just people making outright lies.
Were you told that you failed a lie detector test?
I was told that.
What happened that night?
You did not mention that you had been drinking.
No, because it has absolutely nothing to do with her being missing.
That hasn't been revealed.
You reported that the lights in the house were turned off and you went to bed. Jeremy comes home at 4 a.m. and all the lights are on. Were you just wrong about that?
Here's the thing with that nobody knows.
Let's do it. If we're going to do something here that matters, then we got to deal with the truth.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
If I can help get this family back on track, are you willing to do that?
Ready, 3, take.
This is going to be a changing day in your life. You've probably seen this picture more times than you can count. Baby Lisa. It's an image that has haunted America. A tiny girl with her hands pressed against the glass. The look on her face almost begging the question, can you find me? Her parents say someone took her right out of her crib one fateful night in October. She hasn't been seen since. Now, many new allegations and facts about the case have been reported, but baby Lisa's parents haven't spoken publicly in over 3 months until today. I want to know who they think took baby Lisa, where they're looking, and why baby Lisa hasn't been found.
More than 100 officers from several agencies are out searching tonight for a 10-month-old baby girl.
Lisa Irwin was last seen about 10:30 last night, sleeping in her crib.
It's like they just walked in and just disappeared.
For 3 days, police searched for 10-month-old Lisa Irwin and for 3 days received no solid leads.
Lisa Irwin's parents decided not to cooperate with police anymore.
They've been cooperative up to this point, but early this evening they decided to stop cooperating with detectives.
Debbie Bradley and boyfriend Jeremy Irwin have steadfastly maintained their innocence in Lisa's disappearance. Their lawyer says there are plenty of leads that point away from them.
Well, 2 weeks after Lisa's disappearance, Deborah dropped what some said was a bombshell when she admitted to being drunk the night Lisa went missing.
Now, for the first time, Deborah admits she was drinking at home in the hours before she says Lisa vanished.
Were you drinking that night?
Yes.
How much?
Enough to be drunk.
So you were drunk?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are going to say, Deborah, you were drunk that night. Is there any chance you did anything that hurt your daughter that you're just not telling us?
No. And if I thought there was a chance, I'd say it. No. I don't think that alcohol changes a person enough to do something like that.
Well, as I said, Lisa's parents, Deborah and Jeremy, have not spoken out in 3 long months. And they're joining us via satellite from New York with their attorney, Joe Tacopina. So, folks, thanks so much for being here. Let me start out by asking you, Deb, you guys haven't done any talking about this for the last 90 plus days. Tell me why.
Well, we wanted them to be able to investigate, things to quiet down, have some leads looked into, and then when we were ready to, if they were going to be exhausted or nothing came of them, then we started doing media again, so that's why.
All right. During that time, did anything come up that has shed new light? Is there anything that we don't know that during that 90 days did in fact develop?
Yes, but I'm not going to speak about it.
Dr. Phil, I could enlighten you a little bit on that. There were a lot of people coming forward, and there were some substantial leads that were developed, including 3, and I said repeat 3, witnesses who saw an individual in the area walking around various parts of that suburb of Kansas City with a baby in a diaper and nothing more at midnight, at 2 in the morning, at 4 in the morning. Mm-hmm. Independent, absolutely credible witnesses who don't know, the family or anyone else, made 3 independent sightings. And to me, that is powerful evidence that that there is leads that are out there that need to be followed.
All right, now, and let's talk about these sightings that you're talking about. I understand that at least one of those, there's actually videotape of a person walking, and it was 45 degrees out, and I believe one of these sightings was a person in just a shirt and pants carrying a baby. No coat, no blankets, not anything, and 45 degrees out. Is that true?
That's accurate. Actually it's a direct trajectory away from the house. The first sighting was around, a little after midnight, close by to Deb and Jeremy's house. Then we see that videotape around 2 in the morning by a gas station, which is a little further away, but it's also near a wooded area right behind the gas station where you see that individual disappearing to. Very nearby a dumpster where there was a fire that night and scorched baby clothes were in. Then a little further down the road, about 2 hours later, Mike Thompson, another individual witness, driving, sees a man matching the same description as the individual by the Irwin home, carrying a baby with just a diaper on. I mean, that is, Dr. Phil, I've been a prosecutor, defense lawyer. That is pretty powerful evidence that there are answers out there.
So your theory is that these 3 sightings are very likely the same person, and they're in a trajectory away from the house that at a walking pace would have put these people in position A, B, and C, moving away from the home, and with an eyewitness saying they had a baby in their arms.
Multiple eyewitnesses, that's right.
Okay, right, three different eyewitnesses, okay. Jeremy, what's your theory about what happened here?
All I know is that someone came into our house and took her for some reason, and all I know is that she's still out there somewhere.
And how is the community treating you two as a couple at this point? Are they supportive? Are they suspicious?
It's a little bit of both. There's a lot of people that are coming forward and helping, supporting, etc. There's also a lot of people that are out there and don't have a lot of information and make ridiculous accusations. But
it's been reported that police have tried to get the two of you to interview separately from each other. Has this happened yet?
Not only has it happened, it's happened repeatedly. 5 times. We've totaled it. It's about 40 hours of interviews, both separate and apart. They've asked every question twice and 3 times. They have no other information, and they've repeatedly given the same information to authorities. And here's the problem. We're working both with the FBI and local law enforcement involved as well. And I don't know how well those 2 organizations are working together. The feds have been very open with us. FBI has done, I think, a good job in trying to track down, eliminate certain things. But, the Kansas City PD have not been, open with this family. I mean, it's okay for law enforcement to start with Deb and Jeremy as suspects, if you will, by looking at them. But to jump to conclusions within an hour without having any information, I'm not going to let them sit prey to some,
well, of course.
Accusation
Well, of course, I understand. And this is exactly why I want to ask these questions, because if there's misinformation out there, then you're clearing it up in a major way here. So,
and that's why they're here. That's why they're here today, by the way.
Well, but they're not talking. But they're not talking. You're talking.
Well, because you're asking certain questions,
okay,
Dr.
and I
Phil,
understand.
that we've decided are going to be handled by me. Now, if your producer had a problem with that, then we were here.
No, we wanted you to be here, but I do want to know what they have to say about the situation as well. And I'm curious, at this point, Deb, Jeremy, do y'all feel that you've gotten a fair shake from the Kansas City Police Department?
No, I don't.
So you think they jumped to conclusions about you in the beginning, as your attorney points out?
Yeah, and there's nothing but misinformation out there. That's all there is. There is nothing but theories and accusations, and I mean, the internet, there's just people making outright lies that they've seen me do this or seen me here. I mean, it just became a circus, and it's not a joke. It is not a circus. It is not a game. This is my baby.
All right, well, listen, that's exactly what I want us to talk about, because those things that are out there that are misinformation, and, Joe, you've been on both sides of these situations, that's nothing but distraction. And if they're going down the wrong road, then that means they're not going down the right road. And what we want is to find this precious child. Most parents say they would do anything to find their child. So why have Lisa's parents been accused of being uncooperative with police? What really happened on the night of October 3rd? I have some serious questions, and I want some serious answers.
Monday, a Dr. Phil exclusive.
An 8-year-old girl found locked away in this closet.
Enslaved by her parents for 6 years.
Emaciated, sick, her hair full of lice. She had eaten wood from the door frame.
The heartbreaking story in her own words.
This is Lauren's first interview since being rescued. Do you recall Con at the door?
I was trying to get out.
Why did Lauren's mother do this to her own child?
Then on Tuesday, teen mama drama.
Your daughter is having sex with this boy, and you move him into your house? You can roll your eyes all you want, lady. It's your daughter that's pregnant.
That's Tuesday.
This is the computer room. The window was open that night, so it was easy to get in. This corner piece right here was bent. The entire window was off track, leading us to believe that this had to be the point of entry. This is the kitchen. So if they came in through the window, they'd have to come through the kitchen. This is where our phones sat, right here with this light on. This is my boys' room right here. Both of them were sleeping in bed with me that night. And this is Lisa's room.
It's pretty much the same way it was the night she was taken.
Well, that was baby Lisa's mom showing us the home where she says her 10-month-old daughter was sleeping and abducted. She says an intruder must have broken through a torn screen and taken the infant from her crib that fateful night back in October. Now, I'm talking to Lisa's parents, Deborah and Jeremy, today along with their attorney, Joe Tacopina from New York. Deb, you said there have been a lot of lies out there and misinformation. What primarily comes to mind? And let's clear those things up now so people don't have the wrong impression of you or your husband.
Well, pretty much The only thing that I'm guilty of is drinking too much. And even when she comes back, that's something that I have to live with. That I might have heard something and been able to stop them. But that has been blown so far out of proportion to me being an alcoholic, which I'm not, or me being a neglectful parent, which I'm not. I have always put my kids first, and all three of my kids mean everything to me. And just that entire scenario of me drinking outside with a friend when Lisa was sleeping, and my boys were laying down watching a movie, has been blown into such a theatrical, giant theory fest. I mean, everything from I did drugs and then I drank, and something about my anxiety medication mixing with the alcohol, which it didn't, and it's not a narcotic. There's theories online that my brother was involved, that he came back over after he left that day, that Jeremy left work early. I mean, it's insane. It's what blows my mind is that the internet can be so helpful in spreading the word, but it can also make way for giant rumor mills. And it doesn't really hurt what they say to me, but when they spread this gossip and these lies and these insane theories, it keeps people from paying attention when they're at Walmart, when they're at the drugstore, because somebody's out there with my daughter and we just want her to come home, and somebody will see her eventually.
I think people jumped on this alcohol thing because you gave an interview on the 5th of October and you did not mention it at all that you had been drinking. Then
no, because it has absolutely nothing to do with her being missing. It's totally irrelevant information as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, well, what I'm saying,
as soon as I was asked about it, I told the truth. I didn't have to. I could have avoided it. I told the truth because I have nothing to hide.
I understand. But on the 5th, you didn't mention it. On the 12th, there was the video in the store of you buying the alcohol. Then on the 17th, you were asked by NBC, did you have enough to be drunk? And you said, I don't know that alcohol changes a person enough to do something like that. But you do know, you're saying that you had 5 to 10 glasses of wine that night. Were you drunk that night?
To me, more than 2 drinks in an hour means you're drunk.
Okay, but
yes,
so you were drunk. But do you remember, for example, you reported that the lights in the house were turned off and you went to bed. Jeremy comes home at 4 a.m. and all the lights are on. Now, obviously, whoever took the baby wouldn't go through the house and turn the lights on. Were you just wrong about that? Was Jeremy wrong?
Here's another thing. Here's the thing with that nobody knows, because I'm not going to sit on TV until now when I'm being asked a specific question and rebuttal it, because to me it's just nonsense. It's just picking my words apart and the story apart. But we didn't compare stories and tell each other about anything, that how we felt, I mean, till days later. I mean, our daughter's missing. The last thing we're going to sit there and do is talk about it. But when he came in the bedroom that morning and woke me up and said all the lights are on in the house, it was a total exaggeration. We had track lighting on in the computer room. I had a little tiny lamp that's literally no bigger than this on in the living room. And then we had a stove light, the above the stove light on, and the clock radio light on. I mean, there was not a whole lot of lights on at all.
So, Jeremy, you came home at 4 o'clock, is that right?
Right, I got home about 3:45.
3:45, and you didn't have any trouble waking Deborah up at the time, did you?
Not really. She woke up and we talked a little bit. She was a little sleepy until I told her to, we need to go ahead and get our youngest boy in his own bed. Mm-hmm. And then when I said, what's going on with the lights being on and stuff and the windows open, that's when she kind of snapped to and we realized something was wrong.
Were there more lights on than you had left on, Deb?
No. Those are all the lights I leave on at nighttime, and he follows me around turning them all off, and he's an electrician, so I get complaints a lot about lights being on and things like that, and he wasn't there that night.
Okay, so you do remember this, though?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. But what y'all are saying is this is two different descriptions of the same lighting pattern, so to speak.
Absolutely.
So you don't see this as an inconsistency at all?
No.
All right, we've got to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This February on Dr. Phil.
Did you pay a divorce lawyer for him?
Yes. I hate my daughter-in-law.
The toughest family issues.
I don't know how much better role model I can be. I know, you're perfect. You're a great role model. And we all can't stand to be around you.
Are all on the line.
She was a teen beauty queen. How did she go from this to this?
My daughter was being used for sex in the drug house.
Did you make homemade ice cream and take it over for her and the others in the drug house?
Yes.
Your 16-year-old daughter is having sex with this boy, and you move him into your house? You can roll your eyes all you want, lady. It's your daughter that's pregnant.
I have our vows that she tore up in a rage.
I'll be there for you.
Listen, I don't want you to get hurt.
I'm not going to get hurt.
You already have been hurt,
Yes,
Sarah. This is your moment.
Am I going to be okay?
If you choose to be okay, you will be.
The most difficult part of this whole ordeal has been the juggling act between the media, law enforcement, the lawyers, trying to keep some kind of normalcy. Every day it's a trial. We're not giving up, and we'll find her.
Well, that was baby Lisa's uncle talking about how hard it's been since she went missing almost 4 months ago. Now, today, I'm talking to Lisa's parents, Deborah and Jeremy, via satellite, and their attorney, Joe Tacopina, about what happened that horrific night and why they believe baby Lisa is still out there. One of the big things that jumps out is, and let me kind of go through the progression. Deb, on the 11th in a Fox News interview, you say you checked in on baby Lisa around 10:30. But then on October 17th, 6 days later, you told Megyn Kelly that you put her down at 6:40, and that was the last time you saw her, and you don't remember checking on her or not. So there's been a lot made of that inconsistency. Did you see her for the last time at 6:40, or did you see her the last time at 10:30?
I don't think it's an inconsistency when I say that I put her to bed at 6:40 and I possibly checked on her at 10:30. I don't think that's a consistency. I think I'm being honest and saying I'm not sure if I checked on her or not, but I know she went to bed at 6:40.
Is that a normal bedtime for her?
Usually she goes to bed around 8. All my kids do, but she hadn't been feeling well. She wasn't super sick or anything. She was clearing up an ear infection and a cold, and she seemed to be doing okay, but I put her down a little bit early that night because she was kind of fussy and she's rubbing her eyes and stuff, so she went to bed a little bit early, but other than that, she was fine.
But you don't recall whether you checked on her at 10:30 or not?
No. People don't understand just how difficult it is to wake up and find that somebody has came into your house, taken your baby, and then you are accused of doing something to her or covering something up or whatever theories, insane theories they come up with or have come up with. And then I do all this media and be on TV for the purpose of hoping and praying that somebody sees it that has seen someone with her. And it is literally impossible to remember every single detail and say it exactly the same every single time. And there's so many hateful people or negative people who have picked all that apart. And I understand the looking at the mother thing, because the world we live in today isn't always a safe and happy place. There are a lot of crazy people. There are a lot of bad parents. And a lot of things happen, accidents happen. So I understand why they looked at me in the beginning. And I also understand with the drinking why some of the public have made accusations and drew that out and made scenarios with it and all that. I understand it, but it's time to come to a reasoning that enough is enough, that my daughter is missing, that she is okay somewhere, because nobody kidnaps a 10-month-old, beautiful little girl to hurt her. She is out there somewhere, and I am desperate to find her. I am clinging on to a shred of sanity here. I just want my daughter home. I want people to realize, just take a step back and look. If I had done something, I'd be in jail right now. You know, Joe doesn't save me from jail. It doesn't work that way. And I understand that most of America doesn't understand the justice system or understand how this stuff happens or how media works until something terrible happens to them, where they have to use law enforcement or use the media. But it is so much bigger and so much more different than you could even imagine. And I just wish people would open up their minds to the entire bigger picture here. And it has helped me find my daughter. That's all I want.
Were you told that you failed a lie detector test?
I was told that.
Do you know whether you did or not?
And my lawyer, they did not confirm it with my lawyer, and they did not show me the results.
No, I spoke to him about that, Dr. Phil, and of course, you know, they said, well, we never said that she failed a polygraph test. We never failed it. Said that she failed a polygraph test. Well, somebody did tell her that. And I understand law enforcement tactics. As a former law enforcement official, I would oftentimes and understand that detectives are permitted to give misinformation to people during interviews for interrogation purposes. I thought maybe perhaps they thought if they told her that, she would crumple onto the floor and say, okay, fine, I did it. That didn't happen. She didn't fail a polygraph test, number one. Number two, whether or not they did tell her that or they were authorized to, it was confirmed to me that, in fact, there was no failed polygraph by Deborah. And again, that's just another one of those facts that were put out there and unfortunately bandied around for about a week, which give people a misperception and also distract from the real evidence in this case.
So let me be very clear. She did not fail a polygraph when they asked her, do you know what happened to your baby? She did not fail that polygraph, although it's been reported that she was told she did.
That's 100% accurate. She did not fail a polygraph, and I defy them to show us a failed polygraph. They told me she didn't.
Okay, got to take a quick break and then we'll move on. An anonymous benefactor hired an investigator to help find baby Lisa, and he says, as far as he's concerned, baby Lisa is still out there. We're going to find out what he has to say about that next, and I've got some questions about some of the police investigation. We'll be right back. Closed captioning provided by Well, all eyes have been on the missing baby Lisa case, including the eyes of private investigator Bill Stanton, or Wild Bill as he is often referred to. Now, Bill says he was hired by a philanthropic benefactor to find baby Lisa and or bring resolution to the Irwin Bradley family. What can you tell us about who this benefactor is and why they're stepping up in this way?
Well, first, I want to thank you because you've obviously done your homework and you're really dedicating time to this case. And I really appreciate it, as I'm sure the family does. The anonymous benefactor, it is a female and she's a philanthropic person, and there is a connection to a family member of the Irwin family. And I was watching this just like everyone else, and she called me up and she said, "You know someone, I introduced you to this person." And she said, "I want you to go out there and find that baby." She said, "You do what you do and get this baby back." And she has been behind this effort with me 110% the whole way.
And it's my understanding that you said, "I will take this case," with the understanding that if it leads right back to these parents, that's just where it leads.
That's right. I did not want to take this case for the parents because, quite frankly, when I got on that plane, I thought they did it. We all know statistically, people that are in this game know there's a high percentage that it was more than likely the mother and or father. And I said, I will take the case if my client is the truth, and I will go where that takes me. And it's important to note, when I first got boots on the ground and I met the Irwin family, both Jeremy and Deborah, I said to them, sat on the couch and looked them right in the eye, and I said, "I'm not here for you. I'm here for Lisa. And if that takes me to you as the guilty party, I'm going to come for you." And without hesitation, they said, "Help us find our baby."
You said whenever you got on the plane, you thought they did it.
Yes. Investigators are human beings. We all go in with our inherent prejudices. But fact patterns are fact patterns. Facts are facts. Timeline is timeline. And the deeper I drill down into this case, the more it comes from outside the home.
Deb, the police came in with cadaver dogs, and it has been reported that they had a hit in the bedroom on the rug in the master bedroom, where you say you fell asleep. So what actually took place there, and what do you have to say about the fact that they say the cadaver dogs had a positive hit?
Well, I'll let Joe take this, but I want to say this first, that nothing is missing from my bedroom where the supposed hit happened. They didn't take not a thing from my room. That carpet that everybody's seen on the news being hauled up from the bottom of my driveway came from a barn in the back of the house. So if a cadaver dog hit, why didn't they take anything with him? Why is there no evidence?
We brought in the nation's #1 cadaver dog expert, if you will, and what he told me is that there's no such thing as a hit for a dead body. What a cadaver dog can detect is basically dead skin cell or deteriorating or not living DNA. And so what the expert told me was if there was a diaper in that room when she changed her baby's diaper and some fecal matter got onto the rug, even the slightest bit, not even detectable by the human eye, that is enough to cause a dog to wag his tail or do what he does.
Let's talk about your phones. It was reported, and again, I'm prefacing all this with what was reported, that at 11:57 p.m., a 50-second phone call was made or attempted to be made from Deborah's cell phone to the phone of a woman named Megan Wright. Now, I understand that you can't make outgoing calls on your cell phone. Is that correct, Deb?
That's correct.
Okay.
At that point in time, the phone was what they call hotline or red line, which means that we hadn't paid the bill. So the only thing that could be done with that phone is incoming text and incoming phone calls. And let me just say this. I do not know Megan Wright. I do not know the people she associates with. There would be absolutely not a reason in this world for me to call her. And all of my phone records back up the fact that that number was never called from my phone in a text or calling directly.
Now, we do know on 2 other occasions that, according to reports, that Verizon confirms that someone tried to access voicemail and internet at like 2 or 3 in the morning, a couple of hours after this, and were unable to do so. So apparently someone had the phones. Were the phones on the counter when you went to bed?
Yes, sir.
And they were gone when you got up?
Yes, sir.
So someone took the baby and the cell phones?
Yeah, and the cell phones are right there, right underneath the clock radio where the light shines directly on them. And I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No,
go ahead, Joe.
Finish. Well, Doctor, what do I want to say? We're missing a real vital point on these phones. The person that was called, this Megan Wright, not only does Deb not know her, she has gone on national TV and told law enforcement she doesn't know Deborah. Once you start an investigation by narrowly focusing on one thing, you get pigeonholed in that investigation. You're supposed to start an investigation by casting a wide net, letting the evidence take you in a direction. But if you start with a conclusion and then look for evidence to back it up, that's where you fail. And unfortunately, in this case, that is clearly what happened.
All right, we have to take a quick break, and we're going to take a look at a police reenactment of how someone may have gotten into this house the night the baby went missing. We'll be right back.
Monday, a Dr. Phil exclusive. Locked in a closet for 6 years by her own parents.
She had eaten wood from the door frame.
This is Lauren's first interview since being rescued from that closet.
That's Monday.
Closed captioning provided by
back at the house on Sunday working to recreate how they think she may have been taken.
They believed that someone went through the window of baby Lisa's where she was sleeping, the room she was sleeping in, and took her out of there. And so they recreated that going through the window. As you can see, a detective climbed through the window to the room where she was sleeping, and the window fell down on him while he was going through there. The family says at this point they're not going to do too much talking to the media because they want everybody just to focus on finding their 10-month-old girl.
Jeremy, when you came home that night, the front door was open, correct? It was unlocked?
It was unlocked, yeah.
Why would the theory be that they went through the window when the door was open?
Exactly, and they never actually said, here's what happened. They went through the window. But I will tell you this, there was also another point of entry that no one seemed to have focused on. The garage door it was actually off the tracks. It was a door that all you had to do was, with a pinky, lift it up because it hadn't been locked. It was a very light aluminum garage door in the back of the house. Even if the door was locked when Deborah went to bed, obviously someone could unlock it and leave the house, as they did with those phones and, unfortunately, Lisa.
Bill, what's your theory? What happened to you?
Well, Doc, I have a multitude, and they'll be talking heads, and they'll stay focused on Deborah. They'll say she's guilty, she did it. And my counter to that is, okay, tell me how. And guess what? You hear crickets. What I look at is I'm looking at a character who had been known to break into houses, guess how? Through windows. So, and we don't know if it's just one person. I think someone either went through the window or the door, and they saw a crime of opportunity. I think they saw that Jeremy's work van was gone, and it was frequented by someone that would see the patterns and want more than a homeless person or a petty criminal. And I think they saw the phones, and they take cash and carry, and they saw that child. And that child was taken for a reason. And you don't take a child to, at that age, to abuse it. You take it to covet it or to sell it. And that's where my head's at.
So, come on, what's the theory? If all of this is true, if we've got 3 independent eyewitnesses with a matching description of this person, come on, why are they not doing something?
Well, I'd like to believe, I'm not going to condemn any law enforcement. I like to believe they know stuff that we don't. I wish they would share it, but that's their call. It's obviously, by law enforcement, my guess would be a cold case. So release what you have, but that's up to them. But the facts that you're presenting is what everybody knows. There's a $100,000 reward for information, leading to return and/or resolution of this case. And the fact that there's this baby out there still, and we're still getting attention, I put it all as positive, and I do thank you for this.
Why did you wait a long time before the other 2 boys were allowed to speak to the police?
Wow. So that's another, Dr. Phil, another real misstatement of information that's been floated out there to sort of condemn them. These 2 guys here, Deborah and Jeremy, never refused anything. They let them search their house repeatedly, as often as they wanted, without warrant.
They still have my house keys.
Without warrant. Their cars, they wanted to search them, sure, come in. They wanted to take hair samples from family members from them. They didn't say no to anything. And then when the boys were interviewed, initially, both independently, they were interviewed for a period of about 5.5 hours. So what we simply said was this: we want to make sure that the best interests of the children are a priority here. Make sure this is not done by law enforcement, but a child psychiatrist, someone who understands how to communicate with children without traumatizing them. And in fact, that's what they did. They went back without us there. They did another question and answer period with a very qualified individual from the FBI who questioned the 2 boys. Again, we put no limitations on anything. They questioned them and were satisfied. So nothing they've been holding back, except they wanted to make sure this was done in a way that was productive and not harmful to those boys.
I have to take a break, and I understand Deborah and Jeremy very understandably have some questions for me when we come back. Well, joining me via satellite from New York are Deborah Bradley and Jeremy Irwin. They're with their attorney, Joe Tacopina, and Bill Stanton, an investigator that's been working on the case, is here with me. Deb and Jeremy, do you have any questions for me?
It's really, really hard because every day I wake up and I think about her, and when I go to sleep I think about her, and it's almost everything I can do to stay sane. And then my boys, they talk about her all the time, and they ask about her, and I just keep telling them, you know, we're never going to stop looking, we're going to find her, she's coming home, I just don't know when. And my question is, when they do bring it up and they talk about her, how do I help them get through this? Because I'm really scared that this is going to do permanent damage to them, and even when she comes home, I know they're going to need therapy, and we're going to have to work together to bring our family back as a unit and try to find normalcy again someday. But what do I do in the meantime to help them get through all this?
Well, you're asking a very relevant question, and you're quite right. You guys are hoping for a new normal, because when something like this has happened to you, normal as you knew it is a thing of the past. And what I would encourage you to do with these boys is to be open about this. I would have pictures of her around the house. If they want to cry about her, that's okay. You shouldn't hide your tears. You also want to celebrate her as well, and let them tell funny stories. And you don't want to focus just on the pain of her missing, but also on the celebration of her life. Honor her memory and pray that she's going to return, but you've got to have an open dialogue with them about this. And Deborah, you do feel guilty if you're not thinking about her for a minute, don't you?
Yeah, all the time.
And you might find yourself laughing at something silly that's on television in the background or something. You go, oh my God, how could I do that? You could do it because there's a part of us that finds a way to strike a balance. So we can survive our suffering. Now, you shared with us some never-before-seen photos when baby Lisa was first born. And I do want to honor her and focus on her some. Let's take a look at these pictures and talk to me about what your feelings were at that time and what your hopes and dreams were. What did you think when you held her in your arms for the first time?
How lucky I was. How beautiful she was, how I've always wanted a little girl, and I finally got her.
Jeremy, this is you holding her, I believe, for the first time.
Yeah.
What were you thinking in that moment?
It was just, she was perfect, and it was emergency C-section, so they made me wait out in the hallway, and I was hysterical, and it seemed like everything was going to be all right from there on out, that our family was complete, and just my little girl.
Well, we're seeing a wonderful picture of her now with her big bright eyes and her little hat on. What a cutie pie. What a cutie pie. If whatever took place here took place and someone has this baby right now, you can imagine how much they would fall in love with this baby and how much they would want to have this baby, but it's not their baby.
No, she's not.
So Deb, if someone has that baby, what would you say to them now?
Please look beyond what you want and what you need, and look at what she needs, what she wants, and she needs and wants to be with her parents and her brothers. And we love her and her brothers more than anything in this world. And we are dying here. It's been over 3 months. and I would do anything to see her again. And there's $100,000 of reward for anybody that knows anything. You could be doing Lisa justice and bringing her back to her family where she belongs. All you have to do is call 816-474-TIPS. And to the people that have her, you can take her to a church, a hospital, anywhere, and just drop her off, no questions asked. We don't want you, we want her. Just please, please bring her home.
We'll be right back. Closed captioning provided by If you would like to purchase a DVD or transcript of your favorite Dr. Phil show, please log on to drphil.com or call 866-4-DR-PHIL. That's 866-437-7445. 866-437-7445. If you think that you may have any information or leads on today's story, please call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Now, you can also find helpful resources on drphil.com. Special thanks to Bill Stanton for joining us. Bill, thank you so much. And to Deb and Jeremy, thank you so much for being here. And Joe, I appreciate you having them on here, and I hope that we have cleared up misinformation and disinformation. I hope we have kept this center spotlight in everybody's minds and hearts so all attention can be to getting this baby back home. So, Joe, thank you.
Thank you.
Deb, Jeremy, thank you so much.
Dr.
We'll see you
Phil.
next time. Thank you. If you think that you may have any information or leads on today's story, please call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Now, you can also find helpful resources on drphil.com. Special thanks to Bill Stanton for joining us. Bill, thank you so much. And to Deb and Jeremy, thank you so much for being here. And Joe, I appreciate you having them on here, and I hope that we have cleared up misinformation and disinformation. I hope we have kept this center spotlight in everybody's minds and hearts so all attention can be to getting this baby back home. So, Joe, thank you.
Thank you.
Deb, Jeremy, thank you so much.
Dr.
We'll see you
Phil.
next time.